Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, Further Inquiries by Vidura, text number 38. Purushasya cha samsthanam sarupam va parasya cha jnanam cha nagamam yattad guru shishya prayojanam. Vidura is further asking, what are the truths regarding the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge in the Vedas? And what are the necessities for the spiritual master and his disciples? The living entities are constitutionally servitors of the Lord who can accept all kinds of service from everyone. It's clearly declared that the Lord is a supreme enjoyer of the benefits of all sacrifices and penances, the proprietor of all that is manifested, and the friend of all living entities. That is his real identity. Therefore, when the living entity accepts this supreme proprietorship of the Lord and acts in that attitude, he resumes his real identity. In order to elevate the living entity to this standard of knowledge, there is a necessity of spiritual association. So to come to this level that we are part and parcel of Krishna and our constitutional position is to serve Krishna always, one needs spiritual association. Without that, it's not at all possible. The bona fide spiritual master desires that his disciples know the process of rendering transcendental service to the Lord. And the disciples also know that they have to learn about the eternal relationship between God and the living entity from his self-realized soul. Srila Prabhupada, even up to his last day, he kept on telling his disciples, and through his disciples to us, we are not this body, we are spirit soul. This is the most fundamental knowledge, basic knowledge, the foundation of all knowledge, on which the whole spiritual practices, whole spiritual progress is rested upon that. Until we come to this knowledge, we cannot make spiritual progress. We can do our chanting and association and service and hearing and whatever. But this is the first knowledge, and not just theoretical knowledge. This has to be realized to make further progress. As long as we are in body consciousness, our thought process, our activities, our dealings, everything will be on body level. And Prabhupada kept on saying, even to the last moment, that you're not this body, you're spirit soul. And Prabhupada was completely self-realized. So he's more than self-realized. He's a pure devotee of the Lord. And he knew this is where we are lacking. So best way is, yes, our sadhana should be good, but we have to remind ourselves, I'm not this body, I'm a spirit soul. I'm a pure, I'm a servant of Krishna. That is my identity. I'm not this body. I'm not supposed to get angry. I'm not supposed to get greedy. I'm not supposed to get envious. Because these are not the qualities of the soul, pure soul. These are qualities of conditioned soul. So this we have to remind ourselves every day, at least first thing in the morning, if we remind ourselves, then we carry on with our activities. So slowly, 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 it will be ingrained in our brains, in our consciousness. If we look at our activities, our thought process of the whole day, if we take a balance sheet of it at the end of the day, we will see all we do is bodily activities. Consciousness is on bodily level. So to make further progress, we have to somehow remind ourselves. Say, just like um, suppose you take example of Sachin Tendulkar, greatest batsman, one of the greatest batsmen. But how much practice he must have done, how much time he must have put in to practice each and every single shot. And still, every match he would make a mistake, and that's when he get out. But the practice, the amount, the number of hours he had put in, and then all the shots become just natural for him. So that's what we have to do. We have to practice, practice, practice. So it becomes natural. Actually, it is natural for the soul that I'm not this body. I'm a servant of God. I'm a devotee of the Lord. I'm part and parcel of Krishna. But we have forgotten that. So we have to practice and practice and practice. Okay, some mistakes will be made, just like Sachin made, and he gets out. But that's okay. We again have to practice, practice, practice. Remind ourselves. The bona fide spiritual master desires that his disciples know the process of rendering transcendental service to the Lord. And the disciples also know that they have to learn about the eternal relationship between God and the living entity from a self-realized soul. To disseminate transcendental knowledge, one must retire from mundane activities on the strength of enlightenment in knowledge in terms of Vedic wisdom. That is the sum and substance of all the questions in this verse. So one must retire from mundane activities on the strength of enlightenment and knowledge in terms of Vedic wisdom. Nimittani cha tasyeha proktani anagsurivi sato jnanam kutah punsam bhaktir vairagyameva vaha. The spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? There are many inexperienced persons who advocate self-realization without the help of a spiritual master. They decry the necessity of the spiritual master and try themselves to take his place by propagating the theory that a spiritual master is not necessary. Srimad Bhagawatam, however, does not approve this viewpoint. Even the great transcendental scholar Vyasadeva had a need of a spiritual master, and under the instruction of his spiritual master, Narad, he prepared this sublime literature, Srimad Bhagavatam. Even Lord Chaitanya, although he is Krishna himself, accepted a spiritual master. Even Lord Krishna accepted a spiritual master, Sandipni Muni, in order to be enlightened. Of course, Krishna doesn't need enlightenment, but he was playing the part of an ordinary human being. So he accepted Sandipni Muni, and he basically showed to the world this is how he got enlightened. But not exactly true. First of all, he is the Lord, Supreme Lord himself. And secondly, he was at Sandipni Muni's ashram along with Balramji for 64 days only. And 64 days he learned all the 64 kalas or arts. He learned everything. He's the source of all the knowledge. He doesn't need to learn, but to show to the world, he went to the ashram. But in 64 days, everything, not possible for anybody except Krishna. And all the acharyas and saints of the world had spiritual masters. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna accepted Lord Krishna as a spiritual master, although there was no necessity of such a formal declaration. So in all cases, there is no question about the necessity of accepting a spiritual master. The only stipulation is that the spiritual master should be bona fide. That is, the spiritual master must be in the proper chain of disciplic succession, called the parampara system. So Srila Prabhupada, in his writings, in his books, he has given plenty and plenty of instructions about the spiritual master, the qualities of spiritual master. And one major quality is he must be in the proper chain of disciplic succession. He must be in the parampara system. Means he learned from his guru, and his guru learned from his guru, and his guru learned from his guru, and his guru learned from his guru. Ultimately, the knowledge comes from Krishna. But this is just external. Internal is one should not deviate from the teachings one has learned from his guru. So that is the real parampara system or disciplic succession. No deviation at all, no changing of philosophy, no creating his own philosophy. Prabhupada used to give his commentary on all the verses by reading different commentaries from previous acharyas, and then he would synthesize all that knowledge, and then he would give in his own words, but he never changed the philosophy. He would present it in his own words because that everybody has a right to do, and Prabhupada was presenting it for people like us who don't know ABC of spiritual science. So he had to present it in a very easy to understand language, so we all can understand. So, but he never changed the meaning, the real meaning, the real import of the purports before he heard from previous acharyas. So that is the beauty of Srila Prabhupada and his commentaries, and that's why they're so popular, and people are still reading them and becoming devotees and following Krishna consciousness. Suris are great scholars, but they may not always be anag or spotless. The anag Suri is one who is a pure devotee of the Lord. Those who are not pure devotees of the Lord, who want to be on an equal level with him, are not anag Suri. Pure devotees have prepared many books of knowledge on the basis of authorized scriptures. Srila Rupa Goswami and his assistants, under the instruction of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, have all written various literatures for the guidance of prospective devotees. And anyone who's very serious about raising himself to the standard of a pure devotee of the Lord must take advantage of those literatures. So there are plenty of literatures out there for devotees to understand the spiritual science. But for us, what Srila Prabhupada has done, a very, very nice similarity or example is given is, just like a little baby is there with the mother, and baby cannot eat anything. He can only subsist on mother's milk. Mother eats lots of foodstuffs, different foodstuffs. She digests it, and then the milk comes from her breast, and the child drinks the milk. So whatever food she has eaten, that becomes, whatever part of it becomes milk, and the child can then digest that milk. But he won't be able to digest all the food stuff that mother is eating. So similarly, we are like infants on the spiritual science, in the spiritual life. So Prabhupada, he has taken the commentaries of different acharyas, he has synthesized them, and now he has presented those commentaries as a milk for infants like us. So we can understand, we can assimilate, we can digest those teachings, those knowledge. and so that we can grow, we can make further progress. Otherwise, if we try to read the commentaries of Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Baldev Vidyabhushan, or even Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, we won't be able to understand anything. Nothing we will be able to understand. Yes, there are many scholars in ISKCON also who can and who have understood Goswami literatures and who have written books based on those, but they all followed Prabhupada's commentaries and they prepared their commentaries based on the philosophy learned from Prabhupada. They must have read the other commentaries. That's not a problem for them. But for us, we can't understand anything. So if we just read Prabhupada's books and abide by them, it'll be great. It'll be a great achievement, actually. Text 40. Just before that, just like I think I did post that conversation of Prabhupada. Some disciples of Prabhupada, they were reading Goswami, Prabhupada's literature, Prabhupada's books only, but they were getting more into study of Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. And Prabhupada found out, hey, he got very angry. And the disciples, they made an argument that, Prabhupada, we are not reading any of the literature, we are reading your books only. So Prabhupada's comment was, or instruction was, if you go to a medical shop, he has thousands of medicines, but you take the medicine, whatever you need, according to your sickness. You don't take each and every medicine in his shop. So yes, Prabhupada has given in his books, in Krishna book, all these chapters about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, but Prabhupada, it's not for you, not yet. So even reading Prabhupada's books, we have to be careful. We have to see our eligibility. We are not even above the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says clearly over and over again, you're not this body, you are a spirit soul. We're not even gone beyond that yet. So let's get fixed up on that part right now. And forgetting about Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. His childhood pastimes, no problem. We can read, we can enact, we can study, no problem at all. But his pastimes with Radharani and gopis is very confidential. So our consciousness has to be properly placed, properly tuned to understand and realize that matter. Text 40. एतान में प्रचिता प्रश्नान हरे कर्म विवित्सया ब्रूहि मे अज्ञस्य मित्रत्वाद जयात नष्ट चक्षुषः. My dear sage, I have put all these questions before you with a view to knowing the pastimes of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the friend of all, so kindly describe them for all those who have lost their vision. Vidura put forward many varieties of questions with the view to understanding the principles of transcendental loving service to the Lord. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, devotional service to the Lord is one, and the mind of the devotee is not diverted to the many branches of uncertainties. Vidura's purpose was to be situated in that service to the Lord, wherein one merges undivertedly. He claimed the friendship of Maitreya Muni not because he was Maitreya's son, but because Maitreya was actually the friend of all those who have lost their spiritual vision due to material influence. So Viduraji is asking so many questions. He has put forward so many questions to Maitreya Muni to understand the principles of transcendental loving service to the Lord, or the principles of devotional service. And he is saying, Maitreya Muni, you're a friend of all who have lost their vision. Means Maitreya Muni is representing a guru, and the guru is the one who benefit everybody who's any person who's in ignorance. We all are in ignorance, but some of us have somehow, by mercy of some devotees, gotten a chance, and now we are, even though we don't ask questions, but we still are inquisitive, we're still curious, and some or other, by Prabhupada's mercy, those questions are getting answered slowly, slowly. So only one who has a desire to know Krishna will reveal it to him through a guru. Text 41. Sarve vedascha yagyascha tapodanani chanaga jiva bhaya pradhanasya na kurviran kalampi. O spotless one, your answers to all these questions will grant immunity from all material miseries. Such charity is greater than all Vedic charities, sacrifices, penances, etc. So now we know which charity is the best charity. The highest perfectional work of charity is to give people in general immunity from the anxieties of material existence. Not that we give charity that increases their anxiety in the material existence. This can be done, the real charity, this can be done only by performing activities in devotional service to the Lord. Such knowledge is incomparable. Cultivation of the knowledge in the Vedas, performance of sacrifice, and distribution of munificent charities altogether cannot form even a part of immunity from the pangs of material existence that is gained from the devotional service. The charity of Maitreya not only will help Vidura, but due to its universal nature will deliver others in all times. Thus Maitreya is immortal. So this is the right charity when we give devotional service, the knowledge about the devotional service to others. But at the same time, if somebody is worthy and we are capable of giving some charity, so this devotional service doesn't mean we become rocks. We become more and more compassionate actually. So compassion can take over and we give charity, that is okay. But the best charity here, Prabhupada is explaining, is to give the knowledge of devotion service or engage somebody in devotion service to the Lord. Shri Shukavacha Saitama Prishta Purana Kalpa Kuru Pradhanin Muni Pradhana Pravriddha Harsho Bhagavad Kathayam Sancho Ditastam Prahasan Nivaha. Sri Shukdev Goswami said, thus the chief of the sages, who was always enthusiastic about describing topics regarding the personality of Godhead, began to narrate the descriptive explanation of the Puranas, being so infused by Vidura. He was very much enlivened by speaking on the transcendental activities of the Lord. Great learned sages like Maitreya Muni are always very enthusiastic about describing the transcendental activities of the Lord. Maitreya Muni, being thus invited by Vidura to speak, appeared to be smiling because he actually felt transcendental bliss. So just like previously we have heard when Shukdev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj and Sudha Goswami is speaking to Shaunak Rishi and all the 88,000 sages in Naimisharanya, that whenever there are topics of Krishna consciousness or glories of Krishna or the pastimes of Krishna, these topics enliven the speaker, the inquirer, and the crowd in general. These are the only topics that enliven everybody. So Maitreya Muni is smiling because he's feeling transcendental bliss because he's getting an opportunity to speak about Krishna. How enthusiastic he became. It's amazing. So similarly, Prabhupada would be very excited to speak about Krishna. Or even in his last days in Vrindavan, our Dr. Swarup Damodar Maharaj, who was a PhD scholar, but he was Swarup Damodar, disciple of Prabhupada, and he had organized a scientific um, conference in Vrindavan. And every evening he would go and give the report to Prabhupada. Prabhupada would be lying on his bed, and he was not eating anything. He was only living on some charnamrit, and his body was completely shrunk. And he would be very enthusiastic to hear what Swarup Damodar Maharaj had to say. Oh, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj has to say. And he would give him arguments for, if some scientist said this, and Bhakti Swarup Maharaj said this, Prabhupada would say, no, you should have said this thing, and these questions you should ask, and this and that. And then Prabhupada, because he had no strength left in his body, he would start like coughing or gasping for air. He would get excited. And Tamal Krish Maharaj was there to serve Prabhupada personally. And Tamal Krish Maharaj, seeing his situation, he basically asked Prabhupada, should we have some kirtan? Should we start some kirtan? His idea was that Prabhupada should stop speaking and take rest in this situation and let him hear the Harinam. Prabhupada basically chastised Tamal Krish Maharaj. He said, you don't know the meaning of kirtan. This is kirtan for me. Speaking about the scientific points of Krishna consciousness and how to present it scientifically. Prabhupada, this is kirtan for me. Because means this was giving him life. This was giving him enthusiasm. That is Srila Prabhupada. We'll stop here, and today we completed the 7th chapter of 3rd canto. Tomorrow we'll start the 8th chapter. Any person, any questions or comments?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam Prabhuji. I have a question. In fact, it came in one of the discussion yesterday with a few of my colleagues, not related to what you taught today, little remotely related to it as well. Because Prabhuji, in Bhagavad Gita, when Bhagavanji said, Sarv Dhamma Pariteja Mam Ekam Sarnam Praja, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshami. So, and then here as well, we kind of read, and you so nicely explained that hearing about Lord actually gives transcendental bliss and takes away all sort of anxiety. Kindly, Prabhuji, explain to me when Lord says, Tam sarva papebhyo mokshami, I mean, release you from all the pap. So how do we differentiate the paps and the reaction? Because in one of the earlier lecture I've heard that in fact the reaction we will still get, but by the mercy of Lord, in fact it will not hurt as much as it should have, because one, he will protect us, and two, he will give us the strength. So the reaction still we are still getting. So how do these two relate, Prabhuji? Can you kindly explain to me, please? Because
So
then I'll have to clarify to my colleagues.
Whatever reaction we'll get, it's not because of our karma, it's whatever mercy of Krishna is, whatever he wants. Once we surrender to Krishna, he takes over. Till we surrender to Krishna, we are in the jurisdiction of Yamaraj. So when he takes over, it's up to him, whatever he wants to give, whatever he wants to remove. Basically, whatever will make us progress better on the path of bhakti, he will do. He can remove all the karmas. He can give a token karma reaction. He can give extra reactions if he wants to. It's all up to him. But generally it is said he reduces the reactions, reduces to such an extent that will not feel it. And a devotee who's performing devotional service, it is like compared to like riding on in a Mercedes instead of Maruti. So if there is pothole on the road, if you go on in Maruti, there'll be big jerk. But if you're going in Mercedes with good shockers, you will not feel anything. So he gives more strength as well at the same time.
And he says, take away all the sin. What is the purpose of that? Prabhuji? In fact, how does that sin part goes away then? Because we have committed so many sins in this lifetime itself. Previous life we don't even know.
Yeah, but well, he's a supreme Lord. He can do whatever. But do we surrender fully? Ye yatha mam prapadyante, he says in second chapter. As one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. So if we fully surrender, he can remove everything. But did we fully surrender? That's the question. So that is why it's always advisable to take baby steps, because we might lose faith. So let's take baby steps. Let's slowly surrender, and he always helps. Is that
Thank
okay?
you so much, Prabhuji. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I think that explains that surrender part is actually the key. So thank you so much.
Well, real key is that actually he says serve dharma, no? So we don't fully surrender, so what can he do? He doesn't take away everything, all the reactions.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Archana
Done with
Mata, you
now,
were
Prabhuji.
saying something?
I was saying the class was really good, and the examples you were giving for the babies, and the Prabhupada ji has already eaten everything like mother has eaten, and then feeding the to everyone.
Yep.
It's really
Yep.
good. Very nice example.
Thank you, Mata.
We don't realize, Prabhu ji, इतना आप लोग आप इतना अच्छे से बता देते हो ना, and the point hits it on the thing. The moment you, I heard you, that oh yes, true. It's like this.
Even I haven't realized it. It's just theoretical knowledge.
Prabhuji,
No, but
It will take time. That's all.
but because of your lecture, Prabhuji, it not only increases our faith in devotional service, but so much in Prabhupada as well. For example, Archana Mata rightly quoted today. So whereas, in fact, in various forms, this has already been discussed, but the way you put it today, it actually, I mean, being parents, we can now realize, yes, Prabhupada has done so much for us. And in fact, we have not even read 2-3 books of Prabhupada, at least in my case, but Prabhupada read so much literature for us. Then gave us
Oh
the.
yeah. Oh yeah. We should read. I mean, at least whatever shlokas we cover in the class, we should read them. That's all at least we can do.
Prabhuji, I would like to add one thing.
Yes, sir.
I was just observing the number of classes you have conducted and the number of, and all those have been uploaded on YouTube. So if he wants to just go back and just recall things and just listen to it once again, it's nothing less. I mean, to all, with due respect to Prabhupada, but it's a great achievement also. I mean, from your end, you are just uploading it, and anybody can hear it what Prabhupada said, and in terms of the cantos, the books, what is written in it. So it's again a big milestone which you have achieved and also achieving in the near future. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Well, there are not just my classes. There's so many other wonderful lecturers, speakers also. Yeah, everything is on YouTube or internet. You can find anything. All we have to do is just go and listen to something.
I completely agree, Prabhuji. But if I'm not wrong, it's 18 cantos, I think, right? And so
12
far,
cantos,
12
18
cantos.
books. 18 books are there, yes.
And we are at 7 right now.
No, we are at third canto.
Third canto.
Yes.
2 we have completed already, 2 cantos.
Yes.
So it's again a big achievement, Prabhuji. I mean, I really say, and I know you are in the verge of finishing those 12, definitely, and 12 cantos. It's a big achieve. I mean, I've not seen anywhere in YouTube like it's a series of videos which is there. I'm not sure.
Maybe not serious, but yeah, everybody has spoken plenty. There are plenty of them. But anyway,
But
I
this,
mean, the point is we should just make an attempt and listen.
Yes.
yeah, and the
Thank you,
sad part here is
Prabhuji.
Vinay Prabhuji. In fact, please don't take my comment negatively, and my humble request to everybody. In fact, we go to YouTube personally, we watch it, but in fact, even the previous uploads that is there, hardly you can find more than 3 likes there. So if you want people, in fact, everybody who has heard it, so that ideally go and like it. I know Vidya Prabhuji will never say that, but I, what I've heard is, in fact, that increases the chances of others when they search for any lecture.
Actually, this is the dilemma, Prabhuji, today. If you see a small video on YouTube, they just put some item song or something, you get like lakhs of, or millions of, they also expose, they millions of views are there, right? For these things, which are realistic, spiritual world, which is realistic, you won't get a like. I mean, you get like 50, 60, 70 or 100 maybe, but that's what it is. It shows the ratio actually in the real world.
Let us at least do it, Vinay Prabhuji. So at least if we 15,
Mhm.
20 people can do it, I think that will be a small service to Srila Prabhupada and to the Prabhuji as well. At least that's my take, Prabhuji. Please pardon me in case that is something like.
Yeah, we all should serve Srila Prabhupada. That's all.
Absolutely.
So this is treasure for us actually.
We are
क्या
lucky,
कह रहे हैं
Prabhuji.
माता?
Nice, seriously. And moreover, Vinay Prabhuji, what you're saying is the lakhs and 80,000 people are liking and all. They all are, जिसने भी वो YouTube पे डाला है ना, उसे अब खरीदे हुए हैं. All those,
Right. I
yeah,
just
the
come to
people
know they buy it also. Yeah.
on these social medias पे. So
Hmm.
art is on actual base पे.
Google AdSense and all, they're buying it.
हाँ,
Yeah.
हाँ, they bought all these likes and all.
Hmm.
Pay them and they will be on your side. 80,000, 1 lakhs. And this is not reality. This is all paid.
But Mataji, it's waste for me. I mean, Prabhuji lecture is everything for me.
हाँ, वो तो है.
Millions
Ours
like
was
only.
actual ones. Like,
Absolutely.
Prabhuji, one last question, if you may pardon me, maybe in 2 minutes. Prabhuji, in today's class, while we were discussing the fact that when we hear about Krishna's pastime, and especially the way you narrate, in fact, it actually, we relish it. In fact, there's no word for it. Maybe there's a rasgulla khate hai, so this has got a different taste altogether. So is it because while we are hearing Lord Krishna's name, one हमारे जो सेंसेस ऑफ प्यूरिफाई हो रहे हैं और साथ ही साथ हमारे सिंस भी धुल रहे हैं, कुछ इस तरह का होता है कि व्हाट्स द साइंस बिहाइंड दैट टू मुझे, व्हाई इज इट सो ट्रांसेंडेंटल, बट नॉट फॉर अस ओनली. जैसे मैं पुच्ची को भी देखे जाता हूँ टेंपल में, वो अपने आप नाचते रहेगा देन उसके कान में पड़ेगा कीर्तन, थोड़ी देर में सो जाते हैं. इवन इफ यू स्लेप्ट एट होम, वहां जाके पता नहीं है गोज इन ट्रांसेंडेंटल प्लेस. आई डोंट नो. So is it because that was
Well,
the science
दोनों
behind it?
चीज है, पर in case of little kids like Puchi, I mean, they have done plenty of bhakti in the previous life. So they get to take birth in a devotional family and then make further progress. So how much progress they've made previous lives, we don't know. We just don't know.
But then for us, it gives so much pleasure, Prabhuji. So is it, I mean, the same stuff as in it's washing away the sins as well and all the stuff, the loads from our heart and mind.
We let's concentrate on being Krishna conscious, not sin conscious.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Sins will go away. Let Krishna take care of it. Now we have to worry about serving Krishna.
नहीं, इतना मजा क्यों आता है? In fact, that's what I want to understand. कि why is it that we enjoy it so much? One is your way of
Actually,
lecture, other is
actually
Srila
we
Prabhupada.
we commit offenses more than the sins. We commit offenses, and that's when the progress gets stalled. So the offenses we have to avoid. Sin, the tendency of sin will go away very easily. Offenses, that's where the problem is. So that's what we have to avoid. Chalo, some other time for class on offenses.
Yeah, what I was about to tell you, that please explain the difference of offense and dissonance next time.
Okay, next time.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you, Mata. Thank you all. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Jai Shri Ram.
Jai
Krishna,
Srila
Jai Shri
Prabhupada.